quite the interesting and unique day in the market today. Guys, it's been extremely volatile. The NASDAQ at one point was up over 1%, 1.03%. At one point, it was down 0.97%. We're about 25 minutes from close, and the NASDAQ is almost even. So we've seen this to this, back to this. That's a lot of volatility. It's coming off a very volatile week in which the market gave back a lot of gains, but the year still ended very positive for anybody who was in the market. You sat there, you saw big gains. You know what else you saw? Tesla. Guys, I'm not bringing this up as I told you so. I swear to you, I'm not. And of course, people are going to watch that and think, well, obviously you are. It's as a lesson to say, guys, when Tesla was killing it, and you go back to 3 years ago and people were saying, Tesla will always be a game changer. It'll never have a down year. Why is it down today? I'll tell you why it's down today. Tesla said it delivered more than 495,000 cars in the fourth quarter, 1.704 for all of 2024. Guys, they sold I think it's a typo right here, 1.809 vehicles in 2023. It was a declining number of vehicles sold. If I had told you, like we did 3 years ago, saying, guys, companies can't kill it forever, and people change their moods very quickly. It's not meant to say I told you. It's meant to say, guys, you got to be careful when you buy companies that are hyped up, because the story drives that stock price, and everybody buys into the story. So the question I have for you right now is, where might people be buying too much of the story now as opposed to the numbers? In what areas do you think that is? I think there are incredible companies out there that are killing it. NVIDIA is killing it. I think this company is going to be around for a very, very long time. Can they grow their revenue and profit to the level that needs to be done in order for a principle-driven investor like you and I to be able to make a good return on our capital? We just did a video today for our main channel in which I talked about Southwest Airlines. And I made very reasonable assumptions on Southwest Airlines, and I see really high potential IRRs. So here's a company that's down a lot, yet we feel like this other company that's absolutely killing it and everybody's buying into it is going to outperform. Maybe, but what's more likely? A $20 billion market cap outperforming, or a $3.5 trillion market cap that occupies what percentage of the entire S&P? It's 3 or 4% of the entire, maybe even more, of the entire S&P 500. That's where I, actually it's more than that. That's where I go, hang on a second. This is what we're trying to teach here. We're trying to teach a major foundation in principle-driven investing is that we don't look at the stock price movements. We don't look at Mr. Market to tell us if we're right or wrong in the short run. I look at this Tesla stuff and I think to myself, it's incredible because you couldn't have talked ill of Tesla just 3 or 4 years ago. Now Elon gets in the Trump train and everybody wants to kill him. Because why? All the people we're supporting before were usually left people on the left. And they all of a sudden realized that Elon Musk was probably not in the left and they started to turn on him. That's probably factored in here in these vehicles sold. That's what was concerned. These vehicles sold 1.704. Missing not only the expectation for the year, also the expectation for growth. Now, could they get back to it? Sure. What cost cutting are they going to do? Because they did a lot of cost cutting recently. But here's the story of 2024, Bitcoin's price. And guess what Bitcoin's doing today? Up 3%. Incredible. Up 3% to 97,500, give or take. Very big day for Bitcoin today. Very big. But what's interesting is MicroStrategy, the company that is actually taking on debt to buy more Bitcoin, which is probably part of the reason why the Bitcoin price is jumping up so much. They're still down almost 50% from its all-time highs. In the 3 or 4 minutes I've been recording this video, the NASDAQ is now down 0.4% from 0.16%, literally in minutes. This is an incredibly interesting market, very, very unique from the current perspective. Maybe not so much when you look at past bull markets. I don't know. We look at MicroStrategy. High of 543 on November 21st, 2024. Guys, that was 5 weeks ago. It is now at 297. Almost half off in a matter of 6 weeks. And what's Bitcoin done in that time? That's what's interesting. How much of this balance sheet is driven by Bitcoin? And yet Bitcoin is up how much since November 24th? Let's take a look. Well, guys, I'm kind of surprised. Bitcoin on November 24th was 97,000. It is now 97,500, basically even. And the stock is down 45%. So some people might look at it and say buying opportunity. This just worries me. I look at it going, man, this company is really putting everything on Bitcoin and they're taking on debt. And they sat there, came out and said, we are authorizing up to $10 billion in new shares in order to buy more Bitcoin. Free cash flow, non-existent. Net income, non-existent. This is a pure asset play? Maybe. It's kind of a scary thing if you ask me. But this is the market we're in. Guys, we had 2 terrorist attacks yesterday in this country. This should not affect your ability to invest. It should not affect your decisions to invest. Those things are going to happen. They're tragic. They're awful. Maybe they're lined up. Who knows? But to sit there and say because of those things you're not going to invest, guys, stick to the plan. Stick to your dollar cost averaging. Go look at our history of investing. Go look at the history of stocks and all the things that have happened at time and what has happened with those stocks. Let me show you. This is stock market going back to 1950. Guys, this isn't even close to all the things that have happened since 1950. Not even close. And look at all the positivity we have. In all these presidents, Nixon had a negative, Bush had a negative, and that's it. Everybody else had a positive stock market. Everybody else. There's another chart I showed where it showed 20-year returns. And on the 20-year returns, the market with dividends has never had a negative. And I don't think it's even come close to a negative. Does that mean it can't happen? No, it doesn't mean it can't happen, but it's all driven in the long run by valuations. And that's what principle-driven investing is about. It's about believing that we are mean reverting and believing that in the long run, investing in a broad-based, fundamentally sound investment group will make sense. The question is, when is it fundamentally and sound-based? When you're investing in an ETF, just dollar cost average. You're going to have some highs, you're going to have some lows. But here's what's interesting. QQQ fell 83%. If you started buying it at the peak, before it fell 83% to today, you still made 15% annualized returns. Now, that was at the peak to a current potentially bubble. I have no idea. Actually, I feel pretty confident it's some sort of bubble because the QQQ is selling for over 40 times free cash flow. But guess what? I will be an owner of QQQ. I just bought SCHD for my first time today. I bought that thing today. Now, I'm not buying a big chunk. I'm not buying with the majority of my money because I still like picking individual stocks, but I want to get myself in the habit of dollar cost averaging. I think these companies are very, very low volatility and can still eke out gains in the next 4 or 5 years, even with the market where it's currently starting from. In fact, here's my SCHD in our Everything Money 8-pillar portfolio. Look at this. 17.5 times 5-year free cash flow versus QQQ at 40 plus. I think it's like 41. Look at that. Look at a dividend yield here. Dividend yield here of 3.78%. That's incredible. So I look at it saying, okay, there's a lot of positives here. And it can be scary out there. You see terrorist attacks, you see valuations, but we're here to teach this principle-driven investing idea of saying, listen, there are going to be ups, there are going to be downs. We want to make sure that you stick with the downs because that's when the real wealth is created. That's why these channels were created. This channel, our main channel, everything was done to sort of teach this process of sticking with what you know, how you do it. And if you stick with that, you will wake up in the future a very wealthy person. Guys, 2025 is going to be a very, very fun and exciting year. Do me a favor, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you next video. Thank you for your time.